They call me witch because I eat raw meat. But what them don't know is deeper than them. Watch me as I tell my true life story to you all.
The sun was setting over the village of Kwara, painting the sky with gold and orange. Smoke from cooking fires drifted lazily into the air, mixing with the smell of fresh yams, roasted fish, and pepper soup. Children ran through dusty paths, their laughter echoing across the small mud huts, while women called out to one another, balancing baskets of vegetables on their heads. Everything in the village was familiar, predictable, and peaceful. Everyone knew everyone, and everyone knew their place. Or at least, they thought they did until Amina arrived. She came quietly, walking along the main path with nothing but a small leather bag slung across her shoulder. Her clothes were simple, yet neat, and her eyes held a calm that seemed almost unnatural. People stopped in their tracks, whispering among themselves. "Who is she?" asked one woman. "Where did she come from?" murmured an old man, stroking his white beard. Even the children, usually fearless and noisy, slowed their games to watch. Amina didn't speak much at first. She nodded politely when greeted and smiled softly at anyone who looked at her. The village elders, curious but cautious, invited her to stay the night. They offered her food and water, as was the custom for all strangers. That evening, the women of the village brought out steaming bowls of yam porridge and thick, spicy soup. The smell alone made mouths water. "Eat, my child," said one kind woman. "You must be tired from your journey." Amina shook her head gently. "I don't eat cooked food," she said, her voice soft but firm. The room went silent. At first, some laughed, thinking she was joking. "Huh! A stranger thinks she is too good for our food," one man whispered to his friend. But when Amina reached into her bag and pulled out a small bundle of raw meat, the whispers turned to gasps. She unwrapped it and, without hesitation, began to eat. Raw meat. Raw fish. Raw eggs. Raw vegetables. Whatever was offered to her, as long as it wasn't cooked, she ate. Children stared with wide eyes. "Why is she eating that?" one whispered. "It's not clean." The elders frowned. "We have never seen such a thing," muttered one of them. "Surely, this is not natural." But there was something about Amina that made it impossible to be angry with her. She was polite, careful, and quiet. She helped fetch water from the well, swept the huts, and even sang softly as she walked, her voice like a gentle river flowing through the village. She never complained about the work or the long walks under the hot sun. Still, curiosity and fear grew. Some villagers began following her secretly, watching her every move. Others whispered rumors. "She is a witch," some said. "She is a spirit," others claimed. A few children were brave enough to peek into her hut and saw her carefully arranging her raw food, almost as if it were a sacred ritual. One evening, the village head, an old man named Bobatond, finally decided to speak to her directly. He came to her hut and sat down. "Child," he said gently, "why do you eat only raw food? Have you no taste for our yams, our soups, our delicious cooked meals?" Amina looked at him with sad eyes. "I cannot eat what is cooked," she said quietly. "It is not that I do not wish to, but something inside me will not allow it." Bobaton studied her carefully. There was no pride, no arrogance in her eyes, only calm and a strange kind of sorrow. He nodded slowly. "Then stay as you wish," he said. "But know that the villagers will watch you. Some will fear you. Others will not understand. You must be patient." Amina simply nodded and smiled. That night, as the village slept, she walked quietly to the edge of the forest, gazing at the moonlight reflecting on the river. It seemed almost as if the river whispered to her, calling her name. Little did the people of Kwara know, Amina was not just a stranger who refused cooked food. She carried with her a story so sorrowful and powerful that it would change their village forever. A story of magic, a curse, and a love so strong it could challenge the spirits themselves. But for now, all they saw was a quiet young woman eating raw meat, sitting under the moonlight, her face calm but her heart heavy. The villagers had no idea that the peace they knew was about to be stirred, in ways none of them could ever imagine. Night had fallen over Kwara, and the village was quiet. The only sounds were the soft rustle of leaves, the distant croak of frogs near the river, and the occasional bark of a dog. Most villagers slept under the safety of their huts, unaware that something extraordinary was about to unfold. But not Amina. She could never sleep fully, not since the day her brother had been cursed. That night, as she walked through the moonlit paths of the village, her bare feet barely making a sound, her heart felt heavier than ever. She had to see him, her brother. The river called her name. It always called her name. The forbidden river lay at the edge of the forest, where elders rarely went and children were strictly warned never to venture. The river is not for the living, they said. Angry spirits dwell there, and they take those who are foolish enough to enter. Amina did not fear the spirits. She had made a promise that no curse, no magic, and no angry spirit could break. As she neared the riverbank, she paused. The moonlight danced on the water, turning it silver. The sound of the flowing river was soothing, but tonight it carried a strange, almost whispering tone. Amina knelt at the water's edge, her hands hovering over the surface. Tears slid down her cheeks. "Please, brother," she whispered, "I am here. I have not forgotten you. I will not leave you, no matter what." Then came a sound that made the hair on her neck stand on end, a low, guttural growl from the darkness. From behind the tall reeds and shadows of the forest, a huge beast emerged. Its eyes glowed like embers, its claws dug deep into the soil, and its chest heaved with every breath. The villagers who might have seen it would have screamed in terror. But Amina did not move. She walked forward, her hands trembling slightly, and embraced the creature. "My brother," she said softly. The beast lowered its head, its growl turning into a low, pained whine. Then, as if understanding her words, it sat on its haunches, trembling. Amina stroked its fur, speaking gently as if calming a frightened child. The truth, hidden for years, spilled from her lips. "Long ago, we lived happily together. My brother and I, we were inseparable. But one day, he made a terrible mistake. He bathed in the river when the spirits had warned him not to. The spirits were angry. They cursed him, turning him into this monster. They said no one could break the curse except someone who truly loved him, someone who would follow the rules of the curse." She swallowed hard. "I chose to follow the rules. I left my home. I ate only raw food. I never complained. I carried the pain alone, waiting, hoping, praying that one day I could free you." The river rippled violently, as if the water itself were listening. Shadows moved under its surface, shapes twisting and turning, watching her. The spirits of the river, angry and old, had not forgotten the broken rule. They had waited, centuries perhaps, for someone brave enough to come and challenge them. Amina looked at the beast with tears in her eyes. "I will not leave you," she said again. "I will not let you suffer alone. You are my brother, and I love you more than anything. Please, forgive me if I failed before, but I am here now. I am here for you." The wind howled through the trees. The river seemed to rise, as though it had a life of its own. The angry spirits stirred. But instead of attacking, they paused. They were testing her. They wanted to see if her love was true, if her sacrifice was real. Meanwhile, in the village, some curious villagers had begun to follow Amina secretly. They crouched in the bushes, hearts pounding, and watched as the young woman embraced the terrifying creature. Some whispered prayers. Others trembled with fear. Yet they could see the truth in her eyes. She was not afraid, and the creature trusted her completely. The night stretched on. Amina stayed by the river, speaking softly, stroking her brother's fur, singing songs of their childhood, and calling back the human within him. She had made herself ready to endure anything, hunger, loneliness, fear, just to see him free. By dawn, the air was thick with magic. The river shimmered strangely, reflecting light that had no source. And slowly, very slowly, the beast began to shrink, its claws retreating, its fur disappearing. Its face changed, and before her eyes, the terrifying creature turned back into the boy she had once known. Her brother. He fell to the ground, trembling, weak, but human once more. Amina knelt beside him, holding him close. Tears flowed freely, tears of joy, relief, and a love that had endured the impossible. The village would soon hear of this, and the story of the forbidden river and the beast would be told for generations. But for now, in that quiet, magical morning, Amina's sacrifice had shown the true power of love, patience, and courage. The dawn came slowly over Kwara, painting the village in soft shades of gold and pink. Birds began their morning songs, and the first smoke from cooking fires drifted into the air. But the village itself was restless. News had spread like wildfire. A strange young woman had gone to the forbidden river, and no one knew what had happened. Amina and her brother, now returned to human form, walked back toward the village. He was weak, trembling from the long night of transformation, but his eyes shone with recognition and relief. Villagers peered from behind huts, their whispers filling the air. "It is true," one elder said. "The spirits were tested. She has passed." When Amina and her brother reached the main square, the village elders, led by Baba Tond, gathered. They had prayed throughout the night by the river, asking the spirits for mercy, hoping that Amina's love could undo the ancient curse. Some villagers were fearful, others curious, but all watched with bated breath. Amina stepped forward. "This is my brother," she said, her voice strong despite her exhaustion. "He was cursed by the spirits of the river. I have followed the rules of the curse for many years. I have eaten only raw food, endured hunger, loneliness, and ridicule, because I love him. Because I love him, the curse has ended." The crowd gasped. The elders bowed their heads in respect. Some villagers cried. Children ran to Amina and her brother, not afraid of the raw food-eating stranger anymore, but full of awe and wonder. Baba Tand, the village head, spoke slowly and clearly so everyone could hear. "The river spirits have heard her heart. The curse is broken. From this day forward, let this river be a place of respect and caution. Let no one disturb it with pride or foolishness. And let Amina's love be remembered as an example of courage, sacrifice, and true devotion." The villagers erupted in celebration. Drums began to beat, voices rose in song, and women danced with colorful cloths swaying in the morning breeze. The children laughed, chased each other, and ran to the river to throw flowers into the shimmering water as an offering of gratitude. Amina's brother, now back to his human self, knelt before his sister. "I do not have words for what you have done," he said. "I was cursed, lost to this world, and yet you never gave up on me. You are my life, my sister, my savior." Amina smiled, tears streaming down her face. "And you are my brother. I would endure anything for you." The villagers noticed something remarkable. The river, once feared and avoided, seemed calmer, gentler, almost alive with a new light. The angry spirits had accepted Amina's love and sacrifice. They no longer sought vengeance, and a balance had been restored. From that day on, Amina became a respected figure in the village. She continued to eat her raw food, but no one feared her anymore. Children often ran to her for stories, fascinated by her bravery and kindness. Her brother worked alongside the villagers, always close to his sister, learning and laughing once more. The elders taught their children the story of Amina and the river. They spoke of the power of love, the importance of patience, and the courage it takes to face the unknown. The story was told again and again, under the moonlight, by the fireside, in the fields, and by the river, so that no one would forget the girl who loved enough to challenge spirits and break a curse. Years passed. Amina and her brother lived quietly, helping the village thrive. The river became a place of respect, not fear, and the village flourished in harmony with nature and magic. The story of Amina reminded everyone that courage and love could face even the most fearsome challenges. The end. Moral lesson. Love is stronger than fear, stronger than curses, and stronger than any magic. True sacrifice is shown in patience, kindness, and courage. When we act with love, even the impossible can be overcome.